Hey, buddy, what you doing?
Is it Christmas yet?
No, sorry, not yet.
I can't wait for Christmas.
Yeah, I can't wait for Christmas either. In fact, let's celebrate now.
Welcome to the Can't Wait for Christmas podcast.
Oh, hello there. For the purposes of this bit, I'm pretending I didn't hear you come in. Happy Thanksgiving! You're just in time. Some of the other Christmas podcasters have just come over, and we've just sat down for our first ever Christmas Podcast Network Thanksgiving dinner. You see, the Christmas Podcast Network is a collection of the best Christmas podcasts around. And the great thing is, when you invite Christmas podcasters to dinner instead of extended family, we don't get into arguments about family drama, politics, or money. We just end up talking about our favorite Christmas traditions. Specifically, we've been talking about music. Music is such a major part of the magic of Christmas, and there's so many different ways that it fits into your celebration. Actually, I have an idea that I'm going to pretend is spontaneous and not planned out months in advance. Since all these great and varied Christmas podcasters are here, and you're here too, let's go around the table and we'll all share one of our favorite musical Christmas traditions. Why don't we start with Brian Earl, host of Christmas Past, a podcast that tells the stories behind your favorite Christmas traditions.
Hi everyone, I'm Brian Earl from Christmas Past. As a Massachusetts native, I feel a certain pride in knowing that some of our most beloved Christmas traditions began right in my own backyard. The first department store Santa Claus appeared in the city of Brockton, a 10-minute drive from where I grew up. And that well-known song, It Came Upon the Midnight Clear, well, that was written by a minister from the nearby town of Wayland. And speaking of well-known Christmas songs, there's another one that came to be in the town of Medford, just a few miles north of Boston, in 1850. The town even placed a commemorative plaque marking the exact location where the song was written. But here's where it gets interesting. Savannah, Georgia has its own commemorative plaque making the same claim. This is the surprising story of one of the best-known and most sung Christmas songs ever, one that isn't even truly a Christmas song, and the strange feud over its true birthplace. And it all centers on a songwriter named James, who was born in Massachusetts to a good family, the son of a Unitarian minister. His nephew was the famous financier J.P. Morgan. James himself was a bit of a wanderer. In his early teens, he'd run away to sea aboard a whaling ship, and then he served in the Navy and later tried and failed at going into business in California during the gold rush. He wrote songs for minstrel shows and for the Confederacy during the Civil War. He had joined a Confederate cavalry in Georgia, serving as a company clerk, even though his own family were abolitionists. All of this we know for certain. What we don't know for certain, and may never know, is when and where our story really begins. Here's how one side goes. James had a talent for music and an idea for a melody, but what he didn't have was a piano. So he bundled up against the November New England chill and trudged through the snow to Simpson Tavern, a boarding house and home to the town of Medford's one and only piano. And on that day in 1850, in the presence of one Mrs. Waterman, the proprietor of Simpson Tavern, James sat down at the piano and began the process of translating the idea in his head into notes and fingerings on the keyboard. The tune was simple and sweet and jaunty, and Mrs. Waterman is said to have called it a, quote, merry little tune. With the tune settled on, now all he needed were some lyrics, and James found inspiration in the quintessentially New England scenes all around him, in the snow covering the ground and the treetops, and the activities people partook of in the snow, in courtship and betting on races. James set his verses and choruses to paper to accompany his merry little tune. Now, here's how the other side of the story goes. In 1857, James was living in Savannah, where he was the musical director of the Unitarian Church there. And as November approached, he found himself homesick for those snowy New England scenes that he had left behind. So when it was time for James to write a special song for the children's choir to sing at the Thanksgiving church service, he came up with this festive tune evoking the glory of crisp air and cheeks rosy from the cold, and outdoor winter fun of the romantic variety. Now, for many years, Medford made its claim unchallenged, until one day in 1969, when a Savannah man named Milton Ron first made a counterclaim. because after a little research, he was able to determine that James was living in Savannah when he published the song in 1857. And though it is possible that James wrote the song in Medford in 1850, it's unlikely that he'd wait 7 years to publish it, so the argument goes, which apparently convinced enough people because in 1985, the mayor of Savannah erected the commemorative marker across from James's church. And that didn't sit too well with the folks in Medford. So a few years later, the mayor of Medford wrote an angry letter to the mayor of Savannah, declaring Medford to have the true and rightful claim, to which the mayor of Savannah replied with an angry letter of his own, standing his ground. And this is where we still are today, nearly 30 years later, with both sides claiming ownership and neither side willing to budge, and not much to go on in terms of settling the score once and for all. But it's easy to see why each place would want to stick to its guns, for bragging rights about being the true home to one of the most famous Christmas carols of all. One that doesn't even mention Christmas, or any holiday for that matter. One about courtship and racing and wintertime fun. The first song ever broadcast from space. The jaunty little melody that children often learn as their first song on the piano, and which was first published in 1857 under its original title, The One-Horse Open Sleigh, which the author would change 2 years later when republishing the song as Jingle Bells.
Next up, let's go to Craig Kringle from Weird Christmas, a show about all things holly, jolly, and oddly. There's a website, a podcast, and weird old vintage holiday cards shared all year long.
This is Craig Kringle from WeirdChristmas.com. Why don't we wassail anymore? That's a Christmas music tradition we need to bring back. Caroling may be fun and all, but for most of us, going out in the cold to sing songs to people who don't really care, not a thing. But if you tell people you're going to take a massive bowler jug, fill it with some crazy strong spiced up liquor, and go around singing drinking songs and begging for money, you might get more takers. Because that's how people used to do Christmas, and they were better people than us. Now, if you don't think you've heard of wassailing, you're wrong. Everyone knows this song.
Here we come a-caroling among the reeds so green. Here we come a-wandering so fair to be seen.
But the way most of us know that song's a travesty, because it's really called Here We Come a-Wassailing, not caroling. It used to be all about getting seriously drunk on Christmas Eve, or even all through the 12 days and nights of Christmas if you really had the spirit.
A wassail cup is made of the rosette berry tree, and so is your beer of the best barley. Blood and joy come to you, and to you your wassail.
And not only was it about getting drunk, it was also about demanding that the people you're singing to give you more booze and that they give you some cash or tips because you're singing so well.
Call up the butler of this house, put on his golden ring. Let him bring us a glass of beer, and better we shall sing. Blood and joy come to you, and to you your wassail too. And God bless you and send you a happy new year. And God send you a happy new year. We have got a little purse of stretching leather skin. We want a little money to light it well within. Love and joy come to you, and to you your wassail.
Now that is a Christmas tradition. The other thing that's great about wassail is that it isn't just the thing that you do, like caroling for alcohol and tips. It was also the drink itself, or came to be around the 16th century or so. And this was no weak man's drink. This was some nasty-sounding stuff. A base of apple cider that ended up getting all frothed up with spices, toast, yeah, they threw burnt bread in there, because why not, eggs, and roasted crab apples that were thrown in crazy hot and made the whole thing thick, sour, and gooey. Some people even called it lamb's wool because the apple pulp congealed into this stringy mess like an alcoholic honeycomb. Nothing like drinking a fermented sweater. Somehow it just seems very English. But it goes back even further. Before the Christians made it to Britain, the apple farmers in the South would all go out to their orchards during the dark midwinter to throw cider on their trees and sing songs and chants to bring out a good harvest and fight off the evil spirits. That kind of morphed into the wandering and singing during Twelfth Night and New Year, and it's probably where wassail got its apple cider base. And the word wassail itself even shows up in Beowulf, the old Anglo-Saxon epic poem, as a kind of salute to good health. There are even older legends of a King Vortigern who used the phrase to seduce a serving girl during a midwinter festival, and it kind of caught on. Anyway, all of that is why wassailing is in dire need of a comeback. Instead of sitting around watching It's a Wonderful Life for the 75th time, what if we all grabbed a lusty serving wench, or buff manservant, pick your poison, filled a huge bowl with some brown, frothy, nasty alcoholic muck, yelled at some trees, and sang until our neighbors emptied their liquor cabinets and their wallets because that's what the tradition says they should do. Wouldn't that be a happier way to spend Christmas? I think so.
Next up...
Whoa, wait a second.
Hey, imaginary listener, that sounds kind of like George Bailey. Did you want me to pass the stuffing?
No. Well, actually, yes, but that's not what I'm talking about right now. I want to know when you're going to tell us about your favorite Christmas music tradition.
Oh, good point. I suppose I should contribute to this discussion I started. So, I would say...
Before you get started, can I get some of that stuffing, please?
Oh, sure. One of my most favorite Christmas traditions is caroling. Getting together with a group of people, going door to door, and spreading the Christmas joy through song. It's the best. When I was in high school choir, we would actually break up into quartets at Christmas time, and the teacher would rent us out to sing at parties or malls or wherever. It was a great way to raise money for our out-of-town concerts, and it's where I learned quickly which carols were crowd favorites, which ones were the most fun to sing, and which ones had the most Christmas spirit. Now, on my show, I do a countdown feature called 5 Golden Things, and today I'm going to utilize that feature to list the 5 best songs to sing when you go caroling. Here we go!
5 golden things. Number 5.
Silent Night. Silent night, holy night. This is the granddaddy of all carols. Everybody is going to love it if you sing this song. We devoted an entire feature to this on my show, and it's a beautiful song that is revered the world over. It's also a great song to use as a cover if you're trying to tell your best friend's wife that to you she is perfect. Boom! Love Actually reference, baby! Nailed it!
Number 4.
Joy to the world.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come.
There are a lot of reasons to like this song. It's a little more upbeat than songs like Silent Night. It makes some use of some serious old school grammar with the Lord is come. But for me, I especially like the harmony. If you're caroling with a bunch of musically inclined people, this is a great one to sing because it's just fun and it sounds great when you harmonize.
Number 3.
Hark the Herald Angels Sing.
Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King.
This is a great one because not only is it a classic Christmas carol, if you get nervous and forget the words, you can always pull a Charlie Brown and save yourself.
Number 2.
Jingle Bells.
Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way.
My absolute favorite Christmas carol. For my money, it's the most singable Christmas carol there is. If you're trying to get the people you're singing to sing along, this is the song. Everybody knows these lyrics.
Wait, if this is your favorite Christmas song, why is it at number 2?
Well, imaginary listener, it sounds kind of like Kermit the Frog. I'll tell you when we get to number 1. But first, we've got an...
Honorable mentions.
12 Days of Christmas.
On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me.
Yes, if you're a choral group and you're renting yourself out by the hour, this is a song that will take up a good chunk of that hour because it's super long. Though, you might want to bring a cheat sheet. It can be hard to remember the gifts for each day. Maybe a podcast should do a deep dive into this song before the end of the year. Anyway, on to...
Number 1.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Now, this is not my favorite carol, but it is the best one for keeping everybody's energy up. Not just for the song itself, but the unofficial parts of the song that everybody loves to shout out. Like a light bulb.
All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names.
Like Pinocchio.
They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games.
Like Monopoly.
Then one fog.
Whether you're the caroler or the audience member, shouting out like a maniac is always fun. And Rudolph gives you the chance to do it under the guise of Christmas spirit. And that's my list. I hope you liked it. If you thought of any I left out, be sure to leave it in the comments, or you can always email me at christmas@tancast.com. But before you send any emails, let's turn things over to Anthony, Julia, and Tom of 'Tis the Podcast, a show determined to keep the Christmas spirit alive 365 days a year.
I'm Anthony.
I'm Tom.
I'm Julia, and we're the elves from 'Tis the Podcast, the podcast dedicated to keeping the Christmas spirit alive 365 days a year. So I would like to tell you about one of my Christmas traditions having to do with music. And this one, I'm going to take it back a few years. It's not a tradition I continue, but it is something that means a lot to me because it was where my Christmases started. So back in Magnolia, Arkansas, where my grandma was, we would go every Christmas. And as we were decorating her handmade tree the form was handmade, and all 225 ornaments were handmade in the Depression era with bits and pieces of stuff that she could find. We would put old Christmas records on her record player. We would put the Elvis record on, and we would put another record that I can't even tell you who sang it, but it was the weirdest, funniest old thing I've ever heard in my life. And we would sing and laugh because, man, old records are like weird sometimes. It's where my love/hate relationship with Blue Christmas, Elvis's Blue Christmas, started. And to this day, when I hear it, I like the crackles of the vinyl if I can hear it, regardless of the fact that I really don't like that song, but I do kind of like it. So anytime I'm decorating the tree, in the back of my mind, I always hear vinyl Elvis. And I think very fondly of a family that's not really around anymore because they were old back then. So that's my music tradition. What about y'all's?
Every year, one of my favorite things we do as a family is we go to a Lessons and Carols service at Christine's parents' church. It's a tradition that started at King's College in England, where the choir and congregation sing Christmas hymns dispersed between different biblical readings, all building up to the birth of Christ. It's a really fun service. We either do that or we go hear Handel's Messiah. We have not been able to go for the last couple of years because of a crazy loud child, but we're going to try Lessons and Carols. We're actually going to try twice. We're going to try 2 services this year, and I'm really excited because it's just this beautiful development of Christmas music and telling the Christmas story all in one. It just gives me all the feels. How about you, Anthony?
I listen to Christmas music every year. I don't
wait. That's not fair. You can't say every year because you don't stop listening to Christmas music.
The years still go by. No, I don't really have. I mean, we listen to music every year when we're decorating the tree, but usually we'll just have one of our Christmas playlists on shuffle. There's not a specific album or anything we put on. It's just, yeah.
Our most recent album.
So I have a Christmas playlist, and I change the date every year.
That's cheating.
Well, no, because I was going to say I change it every year. So while I have all these different albums with different covers of every song all loaded onto my iPod or whatever, iPhone. I don't have an iPod still. Every year, my playlist, I only like one version of each Christmas song on it. So I'm not hearing like 5 versions of insert Christmas Carol here. So every year, I painstakingly go through this list and see what's staying, what's going, what's being replaced by a different cover. There are a few that have changed recently.
You said you don't have albums in heavy rotation. Christine and I, for several years, have had a couple of albums in heavy rotation. One of them is Sting's Winter's Night, which is amazing and has him covering some older English Christmas hymns that you don't hear every day, like Soul Cake, which is fun. But my favorite is from an artist named Simon Hajar and his album Finally Christmas. If you guys want to add a new Christmas tradition, I highly recommend it. You can find it on Bandcamp, and it's amazing.
I don't have specific traditions to go with Christmas music generally. There are certain covers of certain songs that bring up memories from Christmases past for me. Not necessarily traditions, just specific memories.
Speaking of those memories, I think Tom and I might have a new musical Christmas tradition that you are single-handedly responsible for.
What?
It's not Christmas until I hear you sing, "It's Marley and Marley."
It's Marley and Marley, everything green.
And there it is, bringing our love of movies and music together for you this Christmas season.
So be sure to subscribe to Tis the Podcast on your favorite podcast player to hear us cover your favorite Christmas movies and TV specials year-round.
And join us for our last episode of the year where we are focusing entirely on Christmas music. We can continue this conversation. Interact with us on social media before that episode, and we'll get your comments added. Thanks so much for listening.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy New
Christmas.
Year.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
Next up is Dwayne Bailey from New Zealand, the country that Santa visits first. He hosts Tinsel Tunes, a podcast that goes into detail about your favorite festive tunes.
Whether you're singing quietly along while shopping at a mall, caroling by candlelight, or belting out a festive tune during a holiday party, you probably know the words to your favourite Christmas song, but what about their meanings? Songs like Do You Hear What I Hear has apocalyptic undertones. In 1962, during the height of the Cuban Missile Crisis, songwriters Noel Regney and Gloria Shane Baker, whom were married at the time, wrote it as a plea for peace during the threat of nuclear war, which was a very real fear of America at the time. Regney had been invited by a record producer to write a Christmas song, but he was hesitant due to the commercialism of the Christmas holiday. It has since sold tens of millions of copies and has been covered by hundreds of artists. When Bing Crosby or Johnny Mathis or Carrie Underwood sing of a star, dancing in the night with a tail as big as a kite, it conjures a mental vision of the biblical star of Bethlehem, leading the Magi to the Son of God. It also invokes a nuclear missile. During this time, the producer was in the studio listening to the radio to see if we had been obliterated, Regney once explained. While on my way home, I saw two mothers with their babies in strollers. The little ones were looking at each other and smiling. This inspired the first line of the song, said the night wind to the little lamb. With this context, a perennial Christmas standard with a feel-good mood such as this song suddenly seems much more haunting, even modern. Not that it's not haunting on its own. Like many great Christmas songs, it is one of call and response, and of dramatic shifts in volume and pitch. Each refrain begins with a question, sung solemn and low, and then jumps up the scales for the answer. This creates a sense of size, of craning upwards for revelation. The lyrics are expressive, highlighting a conversation between animate objects and not. For instance, a voice as big as the sea. The mentions of the child make the song Christian, but when there's the command for people everywhere to pray for peace, the import is beyond any one religion. Baker once said that because of the fearful mood of the nation at the time, she and Regney had a hard time singing Do You Hear What I Hear without crying. Our little song broke us up. Perhaps with the current state of the world, there's reason enough for it to have the same effect today, unfortunately.
Now, why don't we hear from Mike Westfall of the Advent Calendar House podcast, a show that's a salute to all holiday specials, but mostly the Christmas ones.
Hi, I'm Mike from the Advent Calendar House. It's been 59 days since my last holiday podcast. One of my earliest memories, not just of Christmas, but of being alive, is decorating the tree when I was 4 years old. And by decorating the tree, I mean watching my parents do it while I jump on the couch singing along to the most important Christmas soundtrack of my life. John Denver and the Muppets, A Christmas Together. Miss Piggy would belt out, and I'd chime in with ba-dum-bum-bum. It never quite feels like Christmas to me without singing Muppets, even when they're singing a song that has nothing to do with Christmas. And there are a lot of Muppet songs we only associate with Christmas by approximation. One example on this album is When the River Meets the Sea, a song about death and the peaceful transition to the afterlife. But it's a song we only listen to at Christmas time, because composer Paul Williams wrote it specifically for the Jim Henson special Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Though our minds be filled with questions.
Despite the Gift of the Magi style story and being set during the days leading up to Christmas, none of the songs from Emmett Otter have anything to do with the holidays. But for so many of us, December doesn't feel right without some jug band music and a mess of Mama's barbecue. I came across another better-known song while watching a holiday special for the Advent Calendar House. 1978's Christmas at Walt Disney World begins with a choir of Christmas carolers singing ponies and crisp apples My Favorite Things from The Sound of Music. Sure, there's a passing mention of snowflakes and sleigh bells, silver white winters, and brown paper packages tied up with strings, but you won't find any direct ties to any holiday in the lyrics. So how did it become a Christmas song? Well, years before she was cast in the film version of The Sound of Music, Julie Andrews sang the song on a TV Christmas special for the Gary Moore Show in 1961. But that alone wasn't what made it a holiday staple. The answer, it turns out, had to do with early promotion for the Sound of Music film. According to a 2017 Billboard article by contributor Fred Bronson, My Favorite Things first turned up on a Christmas album by singer Jack Jones in 1964 after a promoter for the movie suggested its inclusion. The Billboard article adds the album's producer, Mickey Kapp, initially protested, saying, "That's not a Christmas song." To which the promoter replied, "Just add sleigh bells." The December after The Sound of Music hit theaters in 1965, My Favorite Things ended up on more Christmas albums by Andy Williams, Eddie Fisher, and notably The Supremes, whose version of the song can be heard in this year's new animated retelling of The Grinch.
And last but not least, let's hear from the Christmas Creeps podcast, your one-stop shop for awful holiday movies all year round, exploring the worst that Christmas cinema has to offer.
Greetings, holiday shoppers. This is Joseph Wade here for Christmas Creeps. Today I'm here with our good friend and music expert Libby Cudmore to discuss one of her favorite Christmas movie soundtracks. Libby, tell me, what is your favorite Christmas movie soundtrack?
My favorite Christmas movie soundtrack is, like, hands down, The Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's a really good choice. Like, especially considering, like, it's one of the, it's like, I guess, the only real Christmas movie that kind of transcends holidays. Like, once you hit October, you can put on Nightmare Before Christmas and then let it send you right on through, New Year's. Yeah.
And there's something about it. I don't know if it's because it's tied to a film, where I have a real thing with Christmas music where I don't want to hear it before December 1st. Like, I will go into a rage if I hear it before December 1st. But The Nightmare Before Christmas is exempt from that rule because it's Danny Elfman, and Danny Elfman can do literally whatever he wants at all times.
But yet also, like, because so much of it is also like Halloween music, so it really sort of serves dual purposes. Yeah, which is great. So you can kind of you could bridge through November, and it's also just phenomenal. It's just so well written, And so much of the music is tied to the story, and so much of the story is told through song that you can really get a full sense of the movie just by listening to the soundtrack. It's great. Yes, but I've had this on tape, CD, and now, thanks to my friend Corey, vinyl picture disc. Ooh. So this is one of the albums that I have had in all formats. That's always that's the sign of a true fan right there. Oh yeah, no, I am hardcore. I'm in for The Nightmare Before Christmas. So among the songs in Nightmare Before Christmas, which one do you stands out as, I guess, the most Christmassy? Probably What's This is, like, that's my big Christmas song, but I have been known to play Making Christmas while decorating my Christmas tree or wrapping presents. Of course. I mean, it's too perfect, because she's making Christmas. But it's in that minor key. It's so, like, it's like a death dirge where you're just, like, wrapping presents, making like you're on like a assembly line in, like, 1902. Yeah. There's coal dust everywhere. Yeah, and that's because I love Christmas, but I also am not super great. I'm terrible at wrapping presents, and I'm not real great about, like, I don't decorate for Christmas. And I think my husband would like to do, like, more. And I insist on having a tree, but I don't do garlands and I don't do the whole thing. So it does feel a little bit, he's like, let's do the tree. Like, I gotta do this shit. So you need something that's gonna, like, motivate you to, like, get the job done. And yeah. And I love the tree when it's up, but the idea of, like, having to assemble our tree and get all the lights and everything on it is just, like, really? It's kind of a chore. Making Christmas. Yeah. And shopping. I hate shopping. But so yeah, like, Making Christmas is, like, the really good song to put on when you're really trying to get things done for the holiday season. But then What's This that's the song that you play when it's, like, mid-November and you're finally ready to commit to Christmas, and you're excited about it again, Yes, and it's just that one, to me, I think the orchestration is so much better. And Danny Elfman's voice is so beautiful. It's so lilting, and so it's like warm cocoa. It just, like, goes just through you and makes you feel good.
And it's lovely. It's just pure loveliness. And every bit of his phrasing is gorgeous. And even just like as I'm picturing the scene in my head, it's just a beautiful scene. And the colors are so gorgeous. And I love stop motion animation. Really, really do.
Well, I'm looking up the lyrics for this real quick because there's like there's one couplet in here that I've always loved. One verse, I guess.
There's children throwing snowballs instead of throwing heads. They're busy building toys, and absolutely no one's dead. Like,
how did you know? That was fun.
Because it's brilliant and it's so weird.
Yeah, it's the whole movie in like 4 lines.
I know, and just that throwing heads is something so innocent that they do. And whereas, like, in the real world, like, that would be savage and people would be dead. And, like, and absolutely, no one's dead.
And no one's dead here. It's great. I love
it. People are alive here. Because obviously they're sentient in Halloween Town. I mean, they're a sentient skeleton and a sentient ragdoll, but they're alive. And a sentient bug man.
Right, exactly. Everyone's alive here, and things are vibrant and colorful, and everything that I'm not.
Yeah,
that's kind of the theme of the song. But yeah, like, what's this? It really is.
It sparkles. It sounds like sparkles.
It is like I think it's the one song on this entire soundtrack that you could play outside of the movie and it'd be as like a Christmas song on the radio.
Yeah.
Partly because everybody loves it, but also just because, like, I don't know, it's the one thing that's really like vibrant and excited to be a part of the Christmas season, you know?
Yes. And just don't play it before December 1st or I'll get mad.
Right. Thanks, Libby, for being here with me.
Thank you for having me. Always.
Anytime. We will see y'all later.
See you later.
And for more fun Christmas movie chatter, please visit us on the web at christmascreeps.com.
Well, that was fun. I would like to thank all my party guests for joining us today. I think that the first Christmas Podcast Network Thanksgiving was a success. And if you'd like to hear more from all these shows that you heard today, we've got links to all of them at can'twaitforchristmaspod.com, or you can check out all the great podcasts of the Christmas Podcast Network at christmaspodcastnetwork.com. And the crazy thing is, we've all done a version of this episode. So all of these stories about Christmas traditions, it's on every single episode of every podcast you heard, but like it's the same meat of the sandwich, but we all had different bread around it. So if you'd like to hear a different spin on this exact episode, you can hear all the different people record their versions of it. Oh, and hey, tomorrow is Black Friday, and you might want to avoid waiting in those long lines or getting crushed by those huge crowds. Maybe you should just go to the official Can't Wait for Christmas podcast store and get great deals on personalized ornaments, shirts, wrapping paper, not to mention you can make your holiday cards for the year. Check out our Facebook and Twitter feeds for special discount codes all season long. Well, I gotta go get some more Cool Whip for the pumpkin pie, but I'll be back on the 25th for our regular Muppet-Vember episode, where we'll be talking about Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. In the meantime, keep laughing all the way.
And that was Christmas 1983.
Actually, Dad, it's 2018.
Ho, ho, ho. Thank you for listening to the Can't Wait for Christmas podcast. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to us on iTunes, or we're available on Stitcher and Google Play as well. If you'd like to leave a comment on this or any episode, go to our official website at can'twaitforchristmaspod.com. While you're there, you'll find a link to our official Zazzle store, where you can grab customizable t-shirts, ornaments, bumper stickers, and all sorts of other Christmas merchandise all year long. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/can'twaitforchristmaspod. Or on Twitter, we are @ChristmasPod. Or you could always send us an email directly at christmas@tancast.com. The Can't Wait for Christmas podcast is part of the Tancast Podcast Network. We Wish You a Merry Christmas was performed by the United States Marine Corps Band, and this amazing version of Jingle Bells on the accordion was performed by the wonderful and talented Kristen Nowicki. All other music and sounds used in this episode are the properties of their individual copyright holders, and no infringement is intended. Okay, boys, did I forget anything?
God bless us, everyone.
Ho, ho, ho!
According to a 2017 Billboard article by contributor the December after the sound of music. Oh, this show ain't no good.
Welcome. No. Yes. Why? I don't know. Okay. One of my favorite traditions... stumbled on the first sentence, everybody. Back when I was in high school choir, we would actually, the teacher... It's what happens when you're not reading off the script. You just, mealy mouth and make up words that don't even make sense. And the teacher would rent us out to sing at carols or... Sing at carols. Yeah, we'd sing at carols. Happy Thanksgiving! You're just in time. Some other Christmas podcaster... Nope. My sweatshirt's flopping around and the zipper keeps hitting the chair, and that's going to ruin the take. I'll handle the ruining of the takes, thank you, zipper. I'm constantly pointing to the imaginary podcasters sitting around my table for no reason. Like, you can't see me, and they're not here. Like, there's no part of this that translates to the podcast.
I'd like to ask when you're going to tell us about your favorite Christmas music traditions.
Boy, that impression disintegrates the longer I talk. That's about it. That's the actual accurate impression I can do of George Bailey, is me going, ah! But beyond that, it just, like tissue paper in a monsoon, evaporates. Now, why don't we hear from Joseph Wade of the Advent Calendar House podcast, a show that's a salute to all holiday specials, but mostly the Christmas ones. Is that a reference to Muppet Vision 3D? I didn't ask Joseph, but that's the description that he has of his podcast on his website. A salute to all holiday specials, but mostly the Christmas ones. That reminds me of Muppet Vision, a salute to all countries, but mostly America. Joseph, if that is a Muppet Vision 3D reference, you are awesome. If it's not a Muppet Vision 3D reference, you're still awesome. Come on. You know. Did I just call him Joseph Wade? Mike Westfall is the host of the Advent Calendar House podcast. Joseph Wade does Christmas creeps. It is a good thing I played the clip so I could hear him tell me, "Hey, idiot, why don't you say my right name?" He didn't say it like that, but that's how I feel when I make a mistake like that. Like a dummy dum-dum.
I am feeling dummy dum-dum.
Well, I gotta go get some more Cool Whip for the pumpkin pie, but I'll be back on the 25th for our regular Muppet-Vember episode. We'll be talking about... That was like where we will is 3 words. I managed to make it into 1 word. Well, I gotta go get some more Cool Whip for the pumpkin pie, but I'll be back on the 20... Well, I gotta go grab some more Cool Whip for the pumpkin pie, but I'll be back on December... No, not December! It's like the last 2 sentences and I can't get it done. Why? Well, I gotta get some more Cool Whip for the pumpkin pie, but I'll be back on November 25th for our regular Muppet-Vember episode, where we'll be talking about Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. Why am I so excited for something you're not gonna hear for 3 days? Calm down, Tim. All right, you relax. In the meantime, keep laughing all the way. Yes! Yes, I did it! I said words! Woohoo!